We'll start in a minute. Good afternoon, everybody, and thanks for joining the webinar on a working day. We will be starting in time. Welcome all who are present. So primarily, this webinar is being conducted by three organizations. One is Zimbra, which offers email and productivity tool, which can be used by micro, small, and large enterprises with the option of both in-house and remote. Then we have SOP security, which are into cyber security issues with a very strong focus on email security. And then Tetra Information Services Private Limited, and I am from Tetra, which are into providing solutions for large enterprises with a strong focus on open framework and working a lot on open source technology. Total session will be for 2 hours. So Deepak, can you go to the next slide, please? So I'll just give a brief introduction about the panelists. Among the panelists, we have Biswajit Banerjee, who is the technical director in Tetra and has a work experience of more than 30 years and working very focused on open source technologies for more than 2 years and working in Zimbra for more than 15 years and one of the very strong technology person in Zimbra. Then we have Piyush Mathur, who is a senior sales engineer for Zimbra in APAC region and has been working with Zimbra for over 13 years and very strong expertise on email and collaboration suite. And then we have Mr. Banyan, who is the CEO of SOP Security and has more than 15 years of experience in cybersecurity. And email threat is one of the specialization, and he will be talking in details once he is giving his presentation. And I am Mukul Mahajan, sales director, having the experience of 30 plus years and working on open source project for more than 20 years and working very strongly in advocacy of open source also. So Deepak, can you go to the next slide? So just give a brief of the agenda. We will have an introduction which I'm doing. Then Mr. Piyush will be talking about Zimbra. Mr. Benyan will be talking of SOPs. Then Biswajit will be talking of services and value proposition that we bring across. And then we have a Q&A. If anybody has a Q&A, he can just put it in chat so that once that Q&A session is there, we can be prepared with that. Please, Deepak. Next slide, please. So just to give a very brief of Tetra, we have been established since 1996. And since the initial years, we have been working in advocacy on open source, have very strong investment on R&D, so that in open source, we are able to handle very large clients like Infosys, HP, TCS. We are working with almost all the large clients and have been advocating professional open source through Linux for You magazine, through PhD and other forums. We provide open source business ready solutions to client so that client can adopt pure open source solution also as well as supported open source. And we have a very strong structured knowledge system within the organization, and implementation we would have done in very strong almost all the domains, including government, defense, enterprises within and outside India. And we keep on working on fitment of open source solutions, while we have divided our solutions into infrastructure and business. The next slide, please. So service, I'll not take too much time. So services wise, we give technical support, consulting, software development, migration and porting, and process of automation all across open source framework. Uh, then we have a very core team driven by open source experts. We provide sustainable solution. We do a lot of innovation. We have a knowledge framework, and we ensure that scalability is there of our solutions. And we do provide 24 by 7 support. Uh, I'll not go into too much details in the offerings. We have mailing, monitoring, cloud solutions, Red Hat, and other open source solutions, other gamut of open source solution infrastructure. And in business, we have helpdesk solution, document management, process automation, and software development across certain open source technologies. So these are the companies with whom we partner. Red Hat for the Red Hat stack, Elastic for ELK stack, Nagios, SOP Security, who will be presenting today, ProDMark, and Zimbra, of course, with whom we have been associated for almost 10 years, and we are one of the very strong service partners for Zimbra. So I'll just give a glimpse of the clients we have, and now without spending much time, I'll request. So as a value proposition, so Deepa, I think rest we can take up later. So I would request Piyush to now go ahead and give a brief of what is the Zimbra ecosystem all about. Over to you, Piyush.
Uh, thank you so much, Mukul sir, and good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this session today. So I am Piyush Mathur. I am part of Zimbra, and as Mukul sir said, I've been here for over a decade now. So I manage pre-sales for Zimbra for Asia Pacific, and yeah, I've got my colleague here with me, Sharat Shingal, who manages the sales for the India region and SAARC. What we'll be talking about the complete potential of Zimbra, and how what Zimbra brings to you as a value proposition in your environment, right? So who is Zimbra, right? First of all, I mean, for you people who haven't heard of us, Zimbra is one of the largest uh, open core based mailing platform. We have more than hundreds of millions of mailboxes deployed worldwide. We serve almost all segment of our customers, whether it is government, education, enterprise, SMBs, banks, all set of organizations. Zimbra is not just a pure plain email platform. We are a complete collaboration suite which gives you mail, calendar, contacts, instant messaging, chat, video conferencing, everything into a single platform. Which means when a user logs into his mailbox, everything that he does, right from email to document collaboration to chat to video conferencing, all integrated uh, in a single interface. Finally, we are probably the only ones in the enterprise segment that still provides you the choice of deployment, whether you want to do it on-premise, whether you want to do it in a co-located data center, whether you want to, do a private cloud, public cloud, or even consume it as a service from various hosting partners, right? So the flexibility of deployment is probably that we are the only ones in this current scenario which is able to provide that. Zimbra is uh, is one platform that would give you the lowest cost of ownership for deploying an email platform, and we will get to know why. I mean, it's not. I mean, let's not just compare a license price to a license price. When we talk about the entire TCO of running Zimbra or an email platform versus any other platform, we will be able to provide you the lowest cost of ownership, and we'll talk about more of this as we go ahead. When we talk about scalability, Zimbra can scale from a very, very small deployment to a very large deployment without affecting the existing set of customers. I mean, for example, you are 1,000 user customer and you want to add more compute or more resources. I mean, we can add more mailboxes, more more MTAs and proxies, as we call them, without affecting the services. So we are horizontally scalable without affecting any services for existing services. It is secure, private, and data sovereign. Why? Because we are able to give you a choice of deployment in your own data center. We are not creating any intelligence around your data. So your data is actually your data. We are not, touching your data. We are not taking out any data. We are not storing your data in our cloud or in our data center. So it's 100% secure, 100% private, and 100% data sovereign. So if you are one of those people who are bounded by law, or if you really want your data to be secure and private, and in your 100% control, we are probably the only ones to do that now. Anytime, anywhere, any device access. So we support the capability of the mobile first world that we are in today, where everybody wants everything to be on the mobile device and first be on the mobile device. But as IT people, as IT administrators, as vendors, we still want the email to be secure, because that's where all the confidential data is traveling of an organization. So Zimbra, while we support protocols like ActiveSync, we also do basic MDM capabilities of remote wipe, or allowing only corporate approved devices to be able to sync email data, or completely wipe out the device, or only wipe out the account information, whatever uh, be the use case. We are still a strong open core based platform, which means we have open APIs, and that is the reason we can do integration with almost any third party applications that do exist in the ecosystem. And once Biswajit sir is doing his presentation, he will be talking about the kind of integrations that we have done with Zimbra as an email platform, and third party vendors to make the customer environment as a single interface for him to do his business applications, as well as his email application as well, right? So be and key, tuned for those kind of use cases that Tetra is able will be presenting later in this session today. Again, as I said, we are giving you a choice of deployment, whether you want to do it on premise, on cloud, or public cloud, private cloud, whatever be your combination, co-located data center. We are flexible in those areas. Zimbra is probably, the only platform that does not mandate you to use all the Zimbra capabilities. While Zimbra is extensible to integrate with third-party business applications like Slack, Zoom, WebEx, Dropbox, Nextcloud, and whatnot, Zimbra natively also has all of these capabilities. So with Zimbra chat and video capability, you can do one-to-one chat, one-to-many chat, which is group chats, video conferencing, allowing people to have breakout rooms. All of that is included into the Zimbra chat and video. So it's a direct, competition, I would say, to the platform that we are using now, or any other such ones that are delivered across the industry. Uh, Zimbra briefcase, people who have been using Zimbra would know about this, and people who are new to it, Zimbra briefcase is a capability where you can upload files, folders, create folders, share those files internally or externally. Zimbra Office is an integrated part of Zimbra briefcase, which means you can create spreadsheets, presentations, documents from within the web client to ensure and help users to reduce their cost on the Microsoft Office productivity suite. It's basically an 80-20 rule, as we say, right? 80% of the population can still do with what Zimra capabilities are. You still might be requiring the Microsoft Office for for a very small number, right? But yes, everything that you do uh, is from an office productivity shoot, whether it is spreadsheet, presentations, documents, all of that you can create from within the Zimbra briefcase. and share those files internally, and multiple people can edit the same file at the same time. Some of the end user features, we will drill down on some of these as we go ahead, but obviously Zimbra email, calendar, contacts, file sharing in a single interface. It is a seamless end user experience, whether you are on the web client or a native desktop client. So Zimbra offers a native desktop client for Windows and Mac operating systems, which means uh, the interface of the webmail is similar to the Zimbra desktop client. So there's zero learning curve for a user, and you can reduce the cost of Microsoft Outlook or a footprint of Microsoft Outlook in your organization. The Zimbra desktop is coming as an entitlement for you at no additional cost. So any user, any customer who is a Zimbra customer is also entitled for the Zimbra desktop. The file sharing and document collaboration feature, which allows you to create spreadsheets, documents, presentations, and edit the document, is again a part and bundled feature of Zimbra. There is no additional cost to it. The Zimbra chat and video is an additional cost, is an extra, additional license if I want to show that, but you are able to create one-to-one chat, multi group chats, and everything within the environment. You can obviously do delegation of mailboxes, persona management, which means, if I am a user who is managing multiple portfolios, I don't have to log out of one mailbox to log into the other to respond emails to the other one, right? So I can have a single mailbox, all emails being delivered there, and when I am responding back to a specific email, I can reply back as my personal email ID or my designation based email ID. So that's basically what we call it as persona management. Dumpster again is a feature where end user is able to restore emails that they deleted even from their trash, right? We support ActiveSync, MAPI, Exchange Web Services, all of that. So if you are fond of Microsoft, if you are a user who really wants to use an Outlook client, if you are a user who wants to use Outlook on Windows, and if you are a user who wants to use Outlook on a Mac device, we support MAPI and EWS protocols. Talking about administrative capabilities of Zimbra, we'll talk about more of these as we go ahead, because I've taken up all of these in much more detail as we go ahead. But storage management, delegation of administrative roles, Zimbra is designed to be multi-tenant. So if you are a hosting service provider who's looking at hosting uh, emails and providing it as a SaaS from your cloud, Zimbra is designed to be multi-tenant. Legal compliance and litigation hold is also a part of Zimbra. No additional third-party vendors or third-party components are required. Uh, Zimbra also provides you a native backup capability, which means you can do incremental and full backups from within the Zimbra web console, uh, and obviously restore a single mailbox. We can integrate Zimbra with external directory services, although Zimbra comes with its native directory services. But if you want to do an SSO or a single point of authentication with an external directory service, you can really do that. We support SMIME for encryption of emails and digital signatures. So which means if you are a banking customer, if you are a government customer who is using digital certificates, you can sign and encrypt emails to be stored as encrypted emails on REST as well. We natively provide two-factor authentication again. So again, no third-party vendors required, no third-party licenses required. It's all built into the same product. So if you really look at it, when I talked about the capabilities of the lowest cost of ownership in my initial slides, with the native backup capability, with the capability of native desktop, with the capability of storage steering, all of that, or native two-factor authentication, as a solution, I am able to provide you the lowest cost of ownership running an email platform. So Zimbra Daffodil, right? So people who know Zimbra would also know about. I mean, we have really had a common name of Zimbra now, which is Zimbra Daffodil, which is version 10 and above. So Zimbra 10 was released uh, early last year, and then we had the latest release of Zimbra, which is 10.1, July, sometime July in this year, right? So we have had a lot of new features in Zimbra, which includes enhanced briefcase capabilities, online office, mobile, and much more capabilities, as well as from an administrative perspective, we have a new license management tool. So it's much more granular. It is much more. It gives you much more control. Backup and restore, storage management, delegation of administrative roles, and we'll talk about these as we go ahead. So briefcase again is an old feature of Zimbra, but what have we really enhanced in it? As I said, we have add the capability of online office productivity suite where I can create spreadsheets, documents, presentations. At the same time, I can also do version controls, which means if I am editing a document and I have uh, I have a version. I mean, I'm editing a document. I have checked out a document, and if I check it in back again, I will have multiple versions of the same document within the briefcase. So it's really collaborative and editing with number of versions that you have made to this document. All the documents are stored in a MySQL database, which means the search of if you've got multiple documents, the searches are faster, the lookups are faster, and therefore your you can maintain a large data store of documents. We have enhanced the capabilities of active sync for mobile devices, so which means we also support active sync 16.1, and we also support older devices which do support only active sync 12.1 and above, right? So with the newer versions of active sync, you can do a remote wipe, you can have a password policy for the mobile device, which means if a user has not explicitly defined passwords for his device and he's trying to sync an email, the Zimbra administrator or Zimbra server will not allow you to configure email unless and until you have configured a password on your device, right? We do also support ABQ, which means allow block and quarantine, which is basically uh, user can only synchronize emails on the device that are approved by the administrator. Anything that is not approved by the administrator, and even if the user is a valid user, the user would not be able to sync the devices or the email on the device, right? Which means your emails are not over multiple devices of a user. You can control which devices are allowed to sync emails, and therefore controlling the flow of data or pilferage of data on unwanted devices. Some of the basically Zimbra, we have called this project as Project Ignite, where we are coming up with new enhanced features with every minor release. So we are on 10.1.3 today, and we have added more and more and more end user features. For example, if I really want to talk about some security features that we have added, is deceptive URL warning. So what it does is, if you get an email and says click on this link, and the link is, say, for example, google.com, but it is actually pointing to a hotmail.com or a yahoo.com, it will prompt the user saying that the text what is displayed in the email is not actually pointing to the URL that it is taking you to. So for phishing emails where the user would get a name saying that mail.zimra.com, but it is actually pointing to xyz.com, where the hacker is trying to check the or capture the password. uh, the user is really prompted to or warned to see that, oh, there is the URL is not the one that it is showing in the face. Similarly, we have added features of reminders. So, for example, if I have to set a reminder for me for an email which I have to reply 2 days from now, I can set it up for myself. We have enabled dark mode on the for the browser. So for people who are really fond of the dark mode, we do support that. The capability of admin defined signature. So there are a lot of organizations who want a specific font, a specific kind of a signature that should go out for users, right? So for branding capabilities or for capabilities that it has to be a unique or a similar signature going out. So administrator can define the signature and it would get appended in the user's email before sending out. Prevent out of office alerts. So, for example, if I'm sending out a calendar to you, and your calendars already has an out of office for that period. So as soon as I'm typing your name in the calendar, it will prompt me saying that such and such user is not available during the time that I'm trying to set up your uh, your calendar, and so basically allowing you to get a notice about it. So, and there are many other features. I would not want to go word by word on all of these, but the idea here is we are delivering new features with even minor releases that are coming up. So we are targeted to come up with a 10.1.4 by end of this year. So, and then we'll have much future releases, and we'll have more and more and more features that would come to you or ship to the market with every minor release. Again, for people who are familiar with Zimbra, we have changed our licensing management. So earlier, we used to deliver an XML file for the licensing. Now we only deliver an 18 to 25 digit alphanumeric characters that you need to key in for your license activation. So no more XML management, nothing. So it's just a key that you get that will help you activate your Zimbra environment. Backup and restore. Again, Zimbra natively provides you backup and restore capabilities, a very granular backup and restore capabilities where you can have incremental and full backups. Obviously, we also have two backup mechanisms for very, very large deployments. For example, the one I just talked about this is the standard backup, which is probably you can set it up for Monday to Saturday being incremental and Sunday is your full backup. But what happens for an environment where it's huge data, right? So what we can do is we all know full backups will take a lot of time. So what we can do is we what we call it as auto group backup. So we'll select a set of, say, users, let's say 100 users or 500 users, whose backup can be whose data size is, for example, X 100 GBs, right? And that can be completed within the backup window that we have given, or the customer has given us. So for example, these are 100 users. So on Monday, these 100 users would be full. Remaining would be incremental. On Tuesday, there will be a next set of 100 users who will be having their full backup, and the rest would be incremental backup. This way, what happens is one full backup is not hundreds of terabytes. Therefore, restoration takes a lot of time. But also at the same time, we are reducing the backup window for a customer, right? So that helps you, faster restorations and smaller backup window time. Uh, Again, so this is again talking about dumpster as a feature. A dumpster is a feature where a user can restore emails that they deleted even from the trash. So, for example, I deleted an email, it will go to my trash, and if I empty my trash, I typically have to go to my administrator, but not in case of Zimbra. The user would be able to restore something that they deleted even from the trash in the last X number of days. X obviously is a configurable parameter by the administrator. So 30 days, 15 days, whatever policy that you have defined as an administrator, the user would be able to restore their emails, and therefore you're reducing your backup restore tickets as an IT administrator, right? So Storage management, Zimbra provides you a capability of uh, storage tiering, which means primary data can be on, say for example, SSD or NVMe disks, which are expensive disks, but secondary data can be on SATA disks, for example, right? Uh, but for the end users, they will still see those emails in their inbox, in their sent items, in the folders that they would have parked those emails. uh, the idea here is you are able to reduce the cost of the infrastructure. I don't want you to put everything on an expensive disk. So basically, tier one and a tier two disk. You can also have object storages. So if you are, you wanting to use object storages which are S3 based, so NetApp, EMC, Hitachi, Ceph, everything, or rather, or proprietary object storages like Scality. We do support all of those capabilities to ensure that you have an optimized storage to reduce the cost of the infrastructure. Delegated administrator, again, Zimbra does provide you the capability of delegation of administrative roles, and we have some of these, key uh, key roles already defined. So if you define me as a DL administrator or a distribution list administrator, I can only manage a distribution list. I can, if you want me to give me only password reset rights, I can just do a password reset. So while I can still do granular grants and rights to a specific user, there are some roles that are already defined or predefined in Zimbra platform, so that you don't have to struggle or juggle in between what kind of grant, what kind of roles you really want to define to the user. uh, so again, what happened to Zimbra OSE, right? So people who are familiar with Zimbra, and as I said in the beginning, we are and we will always be an open core platform, which means we will publish our APIs. We will always be open in terms of integrations. We will always be able to integrate with third-party applications. But we were also shipping a free version of Zimbra for your for organizations. So Zimbra OSC has been declared end of life, end of support, uh, December 2023, which is like 1 year ago. 8.8.15 was the last release for Zimbra open source. Beyond which we obviously have, you know, uh, now come to 10, which means we have actually, uh, you know, are two versions ahead of what was in 8.8.15. But people who are still on 8.15, people who are still looking at what to do beyond beyond Zimbra, uh, we urge you to come to Zimbra Network Edition. Why? Zimbra Network Edition will give you benefits of security. Why? Because the new version of Zimbra is supported. We are continuously supplying patches, fixes, updates, upgrades to the versions of Zimbra that we ship. Uh, we obviously, it is reliable. You can go back to our support. If you run into issues, you can raise support tickets. So it's an OEM supported, OEM backed product. We have new and enhanced features where we just talked about in terms of office productivity, desktop client, security and everything else, and performance, right? We are making the product more and more scalable, more and more reliable for our customers to put their you know corporate data or a secure data on Zimbra. And there are continuous investments that are going on in the product to ensure that we deliver a, a product which is reliable and is in competition to what the customers really expect today. Uh, Finally, I just want to, summarize my all my slides. So Zimbra, supported version of Zimbra will always ensure you to get updates, upgrades of the product. It is a supported version of Zimbra, which means you can raise support tickets. Capabilities like HSM, which is storage management, delegated administrative roles, will help you reduce your operational costs, while capabilities like Zimbra Desktop, Office Productivity helps you reduce your license cost as well, right? So when I talk about the TCO, it's operational cost versus a license cost or a third-party integration cost. If you combine both of these, it gives you a substantial cost benefit against any platform that you are evaluating or running in your environment. Uh, Zimbra gives you a choice of deployment, whether you want to deploy it in your own data center or a public cloud, as I said. And yes, all of this bundled gives you the lowest cost of ownership. That's my mantra. I would want to emphasize that when you're running Zimbra, you are not compromising on features, you are not compromising on security, you're not compromising on capabilities of a collaboration tool that is needed in today's world. But at the same time, you are able to save substantial costs when you are running Zimbra either standalone or as a coexistence with an existing platform. So I am done with it. Please feel free to type in your questions in the Q&A section. And as I said, as Mukulji said, we will try and answer those questions, once we are done with it. Mukulji,
Yeah, we
back.
have a separate session on Q&A also. So
Yeah.
before Benyan speaks, I think Deepa, you have to say something. So that
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you, Piyush. And thank you, participants, for joining in. I would like to make an announcement here that for 3 participants, we have an Amazon coupon that is a voucher of 2000 rupees each. And that is provided you stay for the whole duration of the webinar. And also, we have a couple of quizzes which are coming in. So you could participate in those quizzes. So participation in quiz is mandatory for the Amazon vouchers. So I'm just launching the quiz. Please participate. So very simple, 3 questions. So almost 20 participants have already participated.
so Deepa, let us wait for a minute more. So
Yeah. And also, please feel free to ask your questions in the chat. The answers would be provided during the Q&A session. So please continue to put your questions, any doubts, any questions that you have in the chat as well.
So I think, Deepa, we can now just wait for a few seconds because I could still see more.
Yeah. So we have had the quiz running for 1 minute 48
Let us
seconds.
end at 2 minutes. We'll
Yes.
start with that. Another 10 seconds. We should end. Yes, Deepa, we can end it.
Okay. Thank you very much for answering. And over to you, Banyan.
All right. Thank you. Sorry, Deepa, should I share my screen directly?
Yes, please. Yes,
Yes,
please.
please share your screen.
All right. Let me do that. I just want to confirm if you all see my screen.
Yes, we are able to see. You
All
can.
right. Thank you. Thank you very much, everyone, for attending this session. My name is Banyan. I'm coming from cybersecurity. Our firm is actually mainly focused on the email security, right? So I'm going to go through the stuff we have here. I think SOB is quite new to you guys, but actually we are in the market for quite a long time. We are focusing on the email security and also some certain innovation. The meaning of that is actually you can see the point 3 that we are doing something else more than just the security itself. We are actually integrating with the AI, etc. We have our very existence in Singapore, but we do support on-prem and hybrid solutions. This is the main reason actually we focus on the email security because this is the sort of top one issue in the market because everyone needs the email. And however, if you can take a look at this number, the percentage could be difference, but no one is actually lower than 90%. Could be 91, 92, exactly. So email is actually the top threat for the cybercrime. The reason being is that email is so easy to get the payload in because it's anonymous and it is not in the past you just get the spam. People target you because you have some value behind you, the assets. So other than the attachment in the past, people are talking about the ransomware, APT. Now the phishing is also becoming very hot. So these are just some same numbers for your reference, right? Could be different based on the different reports. Let's take a look at this one. Actually, other than the ransom as a service, phishing as a service is also some sort of the fancy work for the attackers, for the people who is technical strong enough to compromise the system. This is the name price in the market we can find out from the .net and also some other stuff you can find. So you don't have to do anything. Just pay for the service. They will actually provide you the credential with all the intel, the assets you need from them. Right? So it's all becoming the business. Things like this BEC attacks, it is a very common attack in the email part because you are most likely targeted, right? So could be your VP, could be your CEO, C-level. This kind of the targeted attacks is actually the common pain. Things like this, right? I just want to show you some examples. Because email security is not just a spam itself. People are getting smart when they are dealing with you and as the defender side. You are the IT side, IT admin, etc. Examples like the first screenshot on the top left. You can see the page is just simple descriptions with the QR code. We can just scan the QR code and find out this is actually the phishing attack. However, what we noticed, what we observed is that later than the attacker figured out there's no so-called the trigger of the URL, the QR code. So they changed the way to approach you, like the screenshot at the bottom left. It actually put the password in the system and ask you to open it. Some other stuff on the right side is actually instead of doing the payload, they give you the QR code. They give you the payload like HTML or maybe the Word documents, which can be armed in a different way. Like HTML can be redirection. Also, the document can be macro armed. So there are number of things actually can be used for the phishing ransom attacks. And it is very difficult to AV system for any engine with the signature-based stuff to scan, detect this kind of attacks. So this is actually where we are coming out from. For the this is actually some people love to go to cloud. Microsoft is the one. Google Suites, Zimbra also has their own cloud version, right? So, but Prime is actually also moving ahead with them. You can see a lot of different screenshots. Like this is a common one from Microsoft. People fake the message sent over to you, trick you to click it. This is the very old-fashioned way. Give you the button or the URL, you can click it. And this is actually the modern way. If you look at the URL itself, it's actually the Microsoft is the one hosting this kind of resource. If you fall in, then actually your password will be compromised easily. And this is actually, again, Microsoft SharePoint, you may not be the one being compromised, but your partners or some other resources can be compromised to host this kind of a payload. This is the SharePoint one. And also, this is another one. They are faking the Zimbra login portal. Hopefully someone can submit your credentials. And also, this is the cPanel. This is all going online. When the services, software as a service actually goes online, there are more and more such attack actually coming in because they are dynamic. Again, the static engine, the signature base is not able to detect that. We can talk about the blacklist, whitelist, Intel, etc., but it's all behind because phishing can be activated right now, but they may shut down in an hour because that's enough for them to trick the user to click. This is online banking. Bank is actually another one, very common. A lot of banks have the online banking portal already. So actually, the question I would challenge to all the companies, the audience, that what's the solution you are using right now? How you actually protecting your users, your customers in a way. This comes actually to the parts what SOP is doing, right? So we have this kind of the whole overall infra. The core module in the middle is our gateway module, and we have our own sandbox and also our own URL protection system, which is actually performing the live dynamic scanning, and it's API based. So that means it's able to integrate with any other system itself. And we also have actually come out with the mail archive zero trust module. I will actually talk about that later. So overall, this is the sort of the way the process SOP will actually help to protect and prevent the attacks. I actually marked in the red color, to highlight the differences between SOP and the other competitors. I will just actually focus on the main ones, the common features. I think everyone else would have it. The policy builder, the reason I want to highlight is actually, a lot of policy builder is more likely give you the attributes you can config. So for example, if someone is actually sending the attack coming from the Gmail, you probably will block Gmail, but this Gmail address alone, but you cannot block the whole Gmail because of that, actually for your administration, what you can do as the admin, as a user, is only to report to the vendor. So it's very difficult. Even it's the same pattern of the messages, but you cannot block it. That we call it black box solution because that's how the gateway solution looks like. So our policy builder is actually able to do more than that. We can share some sort of attributes, the patterns of the email in the policy. So you can actually just simply select the behavior or the pattern, then the set of the emails will be blocked in a way. Also, we have the AI build in there, right? So our policy builder, if you don't know how to do it, you actually can just use the AI builder to build the policy for you. Other than that, we have the so-called plugin. So it is a very generic term, right? So what do we mean for the plugin is we are able to do a lot more than what you see from the process here, being the common process for every customer. The plugin is actually the one we program how we want to handle the email. So you have different use cases, but we can only build the common cases for certain customers who are commonly use our solution. But if you do have the very unique case and that our system does not support right now, we can use our plugin to make that actually happen for you. And also we have the AI integration. It's actually more than the builder itself. We can do the sort of the you can do the translation, using the OpenAI. That is actually the differentiator from our firewall module itself. Coming from the user education, is actually in our email, we actually insert the banner to the email. So every user open the email, you will see the banner. Actually, a lot of information we will actually drop in there to tell the user, this is a suspicious email or whatever. And once the user clicks the URL in the banner, it redirects to the user to the landing portal we have. So it will show the user, for some certain users, they are very much interested into the sort of the why you are actually blocking this kind of email, why this is actually passing through what's inside. So this is actually the parsing module we have in the page that can share with more information to the users. So they don't open the ticket to the IT team that, the IT team can focus on whatever they have to do important to them. I think, more and more a threat actually getting to the system that some recommendation from Gartner saying you should have the dual engine, you shouldn't trust the single vendor. So we actually have this kind of the dual AV and dual sandbox in our system. So you don't have to actually integrate with two solutions. Then we actually can protect your attachment in this way. The two different engines actually scanning the same attachments. And from outside for the phishing part, right, I think everyone is able to do detection and transform the URL, to make sure the so-called time clicking detection. And we come out from the different perspective. We call it protection instead of detecting, because phishing can be sort of very dynamic, as we mentioned, right? So if you are purely detecting it, you will be missing. That's why there's no one can commit 100%. It's always like 99.9 or maybe 0.99, something like that. So with the protection engine, we actually can ensure there's 100% protecting from the phishing attacks. So this is actually the highlight part I want to share with you guys. So again, right, as I mentioned, we have this kind of the programming policy also ask this kind of AI integration. This is the banner I mentioned. This is actually example how the banner looks like. So you can actually go to the details. You can report the spam without actually involving the IT team. And also you get the assistance from the AI engine. That's the GPT assistance. So this is actually some certain first integration with the Zimbra side, right? So we integrate with the Zimbra SOAP API. There are quite a number of things we can do, but for now, we actually able to do the email retraction. Also, we can lock down the account from the SOAP portal. Furthermore, we can do the email archiving and also authenticate proxy. It all depends on the demands from the customers. We can do more because actually Zimbra has a very powerful, strong SOAP API. So there are a lot of API endpoints we didn't use yet. We are more than happy to work with the partners, the customers to see what kind of feature we can enhance further. Other than actually integrating with Zimbra, we can also do with the Gmail and the Outlook. So just providing some screenshot, right? This is actually how the AI integration we are doing. We can do the translation, and also we can do the summary of the long conversation emails, and also draft a reply for you. This kind of the sort of features we have with the OpenAI. But if you have any ideas, feel free to let us know. We are very much open to this kind of a feature enhancement. So other than, because we are more likely on the cloud for now, but we do provide the on-prem deployments. From the cloud perspective, we also provide this kind of so-called outbound solution, which is for the blasting sort of emails. If you have loads of emails you want to send it out, right, our platform is able to deliver the email to the particular targets, and you can track the reports one by one, see if the successful or the failed delivery, that's kind of the report we will generate. So this is actually the zero trust. It's very difficult to understand from the wording itself. Later, I will show you some screenshot. So basically, the highlight part is the two main points I want to share with you guys, which is mainly for the attachment and the URL inside. So for the attachment, for whatever you can, likely the document or the archive files, right? So these are the main so-called armed attachments could compromise your system. So we can sort of put a container information that no payload will be dropped into your local environment. You can view online. Everything is actually in the container. Once you close this browser, then the container will be destroyed. There's no data will be stored on the SOAP side. Same thing for the URL. Once you open the URL, normally your browser will launch and download the payload from the website. And actually, by using this kind of zero trust model we have, everything is actually in the remote system. Your machine is likely controlling, like RDP, controlling a remote browser. So there's a gap in the middle. You you will not be compromised. This is actually very unique protocol in between that you can control the remote system. So let me show you some feature. This is actually the main one I want to I highlighted early, right? Everyone actually talking about the gateway solution is like the black box. You don't know how to do it, how it does, and you don't know what exactly the signature would have inside. So this is the policy builder I was talking about, right? So you can see that, you know, other than doing like based on the sender, based on the IP address blocking, or based on some certain stuff, very fixed value you have to do, and that you cannot really apply to most of the emails you face. We have this kind of attributes function, the features that for you, so that you don't have to worry about, you know, your policy is not strong enough to cover everything. So this is the list of the types we can support right now, and we can actually expose more information. So this is so-called black box policies. These are the, you know, for the URLs examples, you can see, you know, other than just blocking the certain URLs, you can see, this is actually the sort of pattern of the URLs inside. You can set the combination of that. This is another example for the content, you know, policies we expose, like email with a QR code, etc. Right. So this is actually how we can help the admin to prevent some certain stuff from happening before the vendor can respond to you. So this is the attachment protection I was talking about, so-called zero trust. So basically, when you receive the email, it's no longer the original attachment. Instead, you get this kind of HTML attachment with you. What a user would normally do is just open the attachment, and you can see this is the zip file inside. And once you open the zip file, actually, this is the password protected one. It's very typical evasion technologies the attacker would use, put the password. So normal techniques, you know, like the sandbox in the market, they will say, oh, I crack it first, right? So what if you cannot crack it? What if the password is so complicated, not in the single email, like the best practice for the cybersecurity players? I ask you to send an email with the password encrypted the file, and then you actually send me a separate email with the password. So in this case, they cannot crack. They cannot actually connect the password to the original email together. And also, if they do that, they will actually face some delay. The customer may not be happy with it. So instead, in our way, we will actually challenge the user to input the password when they want to open the file, right? So that we know this file is actually meant to you, then we can open the file for you. So once you have the right password, this is the content will pop up. We will do another layer of scanning, and again, this is a dual layer of the AV and the sandbox scanning. And eventually, as you can see here, I just show the user would know, oh, this content scan is successful. There's no sort of the risks of downloading the email attachment. Then this is the payload. Actually, at this point in time, still the payload is loading on your browser, is yet getting into your system. So you're 100% safe, and you can decide if this is the file you really need to save a copy into your file system. So same thing for the URL. Once you get the so-called the URL, the email, right? So there are loads of the URLs you can see, and if you move your mouse, hop over to the URL itself, actually is being rewritten, right? Transformed into a different format. And once you open the page, actually, we will provide you a live screenshot showing what's the preview of this page, right? So we can load it up for you. And there are two buttons the user can choose to open, right? One way is to open directly, meaning the payload of all the JavaScript in the page that will be downloaded into the local browser. And that's kind of risk you may have to take it up for yourself, right? So there's another one we call it open valve stop. This is actually the zero trust module we have. So once you open it, right, this is actually the one you can see, the URL is different. If you compare, right, this is the original one, and this is actually the one open valve our system. And you can actually find out this is the keyboard being disabled. Why we do it? Because, in case if you face the phishing, what's most important thing for the phishing attacks? They want your credential. So if I disable the keyboard, the user will not be impacted looking at the page. So we give them all the information they need from this page. they can still actually click the buttons from each whatever the page they have and stay in the container environment. The user will not be compromised in the way, but they cannot submit anything. So this is actually can stop the phishing, why we call it prevent from the phishing attacks instead of doing the detection, because there is no one can commit 100%, but in this way, it's 100%. And we have this kind of the so-called MySpace page, right? So MySpace is like take it a different way. In the past, we call it quarantine, but quarantine is basically just for you to release the page. But in MySpace, you can do more than that. You can still release the the quarantined emails. Also, you can do the sort of we so-called business continuity. In case the mail server is down, then you can actually go to our MySpace portal to look at all the emails you have, and that anyone sending the email, you can still receive it. That's the thing. And also you can do the whitelist, blacklist in our portal at here MySpace portal, and also you can do the sort of AI assistance, the different way you can access our AI modules. Something like that. I'm translating the Thai language into English to get to know what kind of information inside. So actually, SOP is actually not new to the market again, right? But may not be to India, but we do have some customers in India already. We are working very closely for the with the customer from the government's enterprise level, also the financial level. Our solution is actually mainly aimed to address the problems from the email security perspective, and also make sure everyone is able to afford to that. All the features I was talking about, if you really get from like our competitors, the price could be very high. But we want to make sure we save the customer first, from the business perspective with the good partner relationship, and then the price they can still afford for that. Yeah, that's my last slide. Thank you very much.
So thank you very much for the presentation, Banyan. We have another set of quiz related to SOB security. And here people would really need to put in some answers. I'm launching that. So welcome all of you to put some answers to these questions. So we have been getting a lot of questions, and we have noted them, and we'll be answering them during the Q&A sessions. I would request people to have their real names. Like I can see someone with the name administrator. So if you could share us your name, it will be really helpful. And also HP. And someone has a name of IT help. So that will help us if you provide your names, and we can adequately provide the answers as well. Thank you.
We'll have it for another 30 seconds. So I think we will have it for another 30 seconds more, and then we will go with the next session.
Okay.
So Deepa, I think we can stop now.
Yes.
And now we will hand it over to Biswajit to give the value proposition and talk about our value proposition as far as Zimbra is concerned. Over to Biswajit.
Yeah, good afternoon to everyone. I hope you are able to see my screen now.
Yes, it is.
So after Piyush and Banyan, Piyush has given the background of Zimbra and being a Zimbra as a product, and we have been doing Zimbra for years and years together, and helping meet the customer requirements and do it. So typically, talking about what is our value proposition in terms of supporting Zimbra and SOP security solutions, right? So basically, okay, so let me start first with the migration support. If you see today's environment, typically you will find that everybody is using mails today, right? And any kind of platforms which you actually today build might not be very greenfield deployment. Yeah, there can be greenfield deployments, which is there. But yes, today, when you actually build any kind of environment, you need to have migration, which is a very, very critical component in terms of mailing environment. When we talk about migration, we actually assist migrations to a very large extent, because Zimbra does a lot of on-prem deployments, and generally we help Zimbra in terms of doing the on-prem deployment with them. Largely it is on-prem deployments, and there are cloud deployments too, which is there. So when we're talking about migration, it can be any kind of platforms. When we talk about when we talk, there can be Google Workspace, they can be Microsoft platform. There will be open source based mailing solution platforms. There can be Zimbra open source platform itself. So we have a very large amount of experience in terms of transitioning these environments very, very smoothly. Okay, so we have built our tools, open source tools. We have been using tools as well as our skills in terms of doing this migration. We also ensure that these migrations are basically typically having no downtime. So in our experience in terms of deploying Zimbra's environments, we typically do not have practically almost with a no downtime. And I can watch that a very, very large environment, probably a few million users across, and the platform which is built for maybe hundreds of servers kind of environment. Also, we are able to migrate the platform almost without downtime, right? So that's something which, as a Tetra, we actually give support to our customers as well as for the Zimbra transition, right? When we talk about in terms of Zimbra, no mailing system is typically only mail, because there will be a lot of other aspect of a particular, there can be infrastructure, there will be storages, networks, there will be application, there will be things which are already integrated with the platforms. And so it's not only about migrating data from a legacy platform to the newer platform. It is basically to give a total environmental support. Okay, so basic environmental support. So basically, obviously, Zimbra will support in terms of their product only. But yes, any kind of peripheries, any kind of migration in any kind of other open source based platform support, or maybe architecting support, all those aspects we actually expertise. And we help people to move end-to-end. We typically give end-to-end kind of support, which is possible, right? All right. So secondly, when we are talking about any kind of deployment of Zimbra, there are a lot of specific tailored solutions which you need. For example, you might have air gap environment, right? Air gap environment typically need to be dealt in a very, very specific way. Okay. So such kind of scenarios will typically come to you. And there will be some ecosystem where you have, product integrated to the older platform. So obviously you need to have either the product integration need to be done with Zimbra itself, or maybe suggest some certain product. So these kind of customizations which are required during any kind of deployment or continuous support, we are there to support customer, because we have that level of expertise as well as this thing. And we provide to very small customers to very large customers. Okay, when I talk about large customers, maybe I'm talking about few millions of users, and maybe small customers mean probably hundreds of 100 mailboxes kind of environment which is there. We as a Tetra has a dedicated team for Zimbra and for open source, right? Because we have been doing open source for almost 25 plus years. So we will support the customer with we have a dedicated team in terms of Zimbra, which will not only take care of Zimbra, but it will also take care of many other aspects. Like, we are a Linux and open source company, so obviously Zimbra gets deployed on a Linux platform, and Linux as a OS is a very prominent mail platform today in India and abroad. So basically, we have that dedicated team across available. We work for 24 hours. Dedicated team is available for us, and we support customer end to end. Okay, so that's the gamut of services which we in terms of support. Now, in terms of okay, so because Zimbra is a platform which we are focusing at this moment on-prem deployments of aspects, right? So in terms of on-prem deployments, basically, we help people in terms of, so first thing which is very critical, and why Zimbra and on-prem is basically because of data privacy, right? Zimbra as a solution, as explained by Piyush, is a solution which gives a data sovereignty and data privacy across, and deploying onto in your environment, which is on-prem environment. You can actually architect your whole solution in terms of your network layers, in terms of your VMs, and in terms of storages aspect of it. You can actually architect in such a way that your data privacy is clearly maintained. For example, in a very simple sense, Zimbra typically has something called proxies, and which are proxies and entities, which are typically having no data, and that is the only place where any user on anybody can access to, and then that which can be placed into your DMZ zones. And then you can place your mailboxes. So your Zimbra has Zimbra mailboxes and Zimbra LDAPs, which are in a MZ zone, or you can say it is a application zone, where you can actually not reach from any kind of access perspective, right? So such kind of architecture, which is actually gelling in terms of your in terms of your architecture mixing up with Zimbra, is a clear win-win situation for everyone. Okay. So, okay. So secondly, we can have strategies which are very, very tailor-made environments for people. For example, air gap is one kind of environment which is generally used in our defense environments and many secure zones. And there are a lot of tailor-made requirements which are required to be deployed out there. So we help people in terms of achieving those tailor-made requirements to do the things. There can be situations where you have interaction with multiple existing application. Probably you need to also work with. Can you just hold on for a minute? Sorry for this interruption. Okay, so there can be a requirement for local integrations, which are typically that you can have we can have multiple MTAs which need to be integrated across, which can be of different platforms because of different requirements, right? Because if you see it very clearly, a lot of defense-based systems, defense organizations typically have such kind of very stringent requirement which can be only done on the prem environment, and Zimbra gels with these environments very well, and we help people to achieve those goals which they typically have it, right? So data sovereignty, data privacy strategy, strategies, and local integration is something which we help people to achieve. Let me move to the next slide. So as a service partner, what do we actually give to the people? Okay, basically, okay, so we have a dedicated support structures of architects L3, L4, and L2 people, in terms of who are dedicated in terms of deployment and supporting the Zimbra deployed architecture. They will typically architect whole scenario for the customer, and that can be, I told you, like millions of mailboxes, when we're talking millions of users to a very small customer. We should be able to architect the solution for them. We will be able to deploy the solution for them, and we will be able to we will able to ensure that they have the support requirement totally taken care of. There can be, just to mention, there can be a lot of mix and match environment where we need to coexist with certain. Just to give examples, that yes, during the migration, sometimes in the very large environment, you typically make the older environment coexist with the current environment itself, right? So we help people in terms of making and ensuring that the coexistence of environment. For example, let me just quote some examples. So exchanges are getting migrated to Zimbra, and probably some of the exchanges they want to maintain for a longer time. So the coexistence is required out there. So obviously, with the with the kind of architecting it properly, we are able to make them coexist in terms of they're not only about the mail fray, the calendar sharing, and everything can be easily achieved, right? So we also help people in terms of different deployment methods. We do on-site deployments, typically, for example, wherever there is a air gap kind of environment, it will be mostly on-site based environment. But yes, we can deploy a very large environment remotely itself. We have been doing it with very, very large environment where we can actually deploy it remotely itself, right? So typically speaking about customer base, we typically have a very large amount of government customers and private customers. And that is basically, generally, if you've seen the Indian scenario, typically the SI will be, system integrator will be somebody who will be facing front end, and very large environment will be typically dealt with system integrator. We work with system integrator very, very from the very early stage on the tender on that requirement, and we help them in terms of gelling the mailing solution, the Zimbra solution, and the security solutions in their tender, in their requirements, and ensure that they win the bid. So we help SIs to SIs in terms of ensuring that that's a winning situation for them. Right. We overall have total experience of almost 20 years generally, specifically in the mailing solutions. And for Zimbra, we have been doing it for almost 15 plus years now, right? And 15 plus years now. So moving out to the next slide, typically, so one thing which I wanted to emphasize out here is about the Zimbra's ecosystem, which we work very aggressively, ensuring that your application which has been deployed, or whatever integration is required, we help people to work. So we work on something called Zimlets. Zimbra gives a Zimlet framework, which is a kind of framework which and APIs. Zimbra gives SOAP APIs, and we have our programming team which actually works on the project for the requirement of any kind of integration between different platforms. For example, there are already a lot of Zimlets which are already been written. For example, people need to have the storage system. They need to have their video conferencing and other aspect of it, which need to be integrated. They might be running these kind of application, which will be required to be integrated, and there will be some kind of programming efforts or scripting efforts in terms of writing Zimlets to ensure that integrations is perfectly fine. So we help the customers in terms of achieving these goals. For example, we were doing just to give you example is that in one of the large projects there were integration in terms of new gen documentation system, where Zimbra has to upload the documents directly from the mailing environment to in a particular format to new gen's document system. So we had written Zimlets for them in terms of ensuring that the data uploads and data push and all. Similarly, NewGen also use Zimbra. We help NewGen to write API calls to from their environment to Zimbra in terms of ensuring that whatever data which need to be pushed to Zimbra as a mail is actually is uploaded in the right format. So Zimlets and an API system is actually something which we work very aggressively, and we help people to ensure that yes, even after Zimbra has been deployed, right, their integrations and other aspect of the seamless integration of their application is also done along with that. Let me move to the case studies now. I will just discuss few case studies in brief. Okay, so this is about one of the customers, which is scientific research organization. Typically, if you see it, basically, there were a lot of customization actually was the first thing was that there was a 3,000 users case where Rainmail was a solution which was given. So we have achieved in terms of moving them to Zimbra any platform.
Banerjee, we need to finish in 10 minutes and then start with Q&A.
Okay.
So, yes,
Okay.
please.
Okay. So this was a basically migration project, and there were a lot of challenges in terms of achieving this particular project. This customer actually typically has 3 different locations where he wants to be a single platform to be there, but it has to be in such a it should work in such a way that even the connectivity, if he has lost the connectivity, each location should be independently able to work it out. So that's what the first thing. It was a purely air gap environment where the deployment was also very difficult in terms of doing that. Okay. So we actually migrated without just with the scripts, we were able to migrate mails, subfolders, signatures, filters, contact, calendars. Their public folders, almost now everything was actually migrated on this platform, right? Then it was a mix of a platform which was mix of a Nutanix VMs and physical hardware. And central place, they had Nutanix platform. They have physical hardware on the other locations. They also wanted to have customized chat video platform. They don't want to use Zimbra's chat video, but they wanted a customized because it is something mandatory from their data privacy perspective. So we deployed that. They typically has had multiple different platforms, mail gateways for communication between different departments. We customize that for them. Then there was content limitations in terms of attachments. Only few people can send attachments on only, and that too locally they should be able to send, remotely they should not be able to send. So all those integrations perspective, which was actually designed, and this environment is running perfectly fine. A lot of automation was done in terms of user onboardings and aspects. So I've just covered few aspects of it. So we do a lot of customization and customer requirement that way. Okay. Then let me just talk about a large deployment, which is for a SAARC country, a national data center for a SAARC country, which was typically 150,000 users. Users. It was a public service they were actually offering, and it was a migration from Zimbra open source, and mix of Zimbra open source and Lotus Notes, which we achieved without any downtime, right? So there are a few challenges in terms of that. CentOS is also end of life, so obviously all OS platform got migrated to RHEL platforms, right? And then they were using some custom based own cloud platform for their keeping their files. The user used to keep the files out there in the own cloud platform, which we have migrated to Zimbra Briefcase, right? So and another challenge was there because they had a constrained Nutanix platform. Basically, what used to happen is they did not have environment which can be easily scalable. So we could do it, migrating the older VMs into the newer platforms with newer environment without even upgrading their environment to this thing. And all this was actually attained without any sustained downtime, right? So very large environment. It did not take much for us to much time in terms of doing it. We could do this activity within a month's time, kind of time, and that too without downtime kind of environments. One of the paramilitary forces actually typically a kind of a unique kind of platform. Typically, they were running Lotus Dominos, multiple Lotus Domino environments, and similarly, we have to achieve. We need to actually deploy multiple Zimbra environments. That is their some legal requirement, because they don't want to give a single obviously Zimbra can do a single platform where he can migrate everything, but yes, it was a legal requirement for them, where they wanted to have two different platforms, which is Zimbra only, right, to be used. They think the user base was around 25,000. We migrated 25,000 Lotus Notes users without losing any data. It was an air gap environment, and they have a very complex delivery mechanism. For example, they had small offices across. So each office has one person who can only communicate to external offices. But yeah, internal people should be able to communicate to internal offices, but their domain is same in both the platforms, right? So all those kind of restrictions were there, where we were able to achieve these kind of restrictions on top of Zimbra, right? So also they wanted that it should be a single URL which should be able to give me a platform which so single URL where people should not know that I'm using second platform or the first platform. So that was one thing which was actually front end was a central login for for both the Zimbras, right? So and we have given a single customized login environment for them to do it. Also, they had a very unique kind of Nextcloud deployment with Zimbra integration. Right? They typically wanted that only admin should be able to upload files and share among all the users. there are 25 odd users which are actually coming from AD. So, which is a very unique kind of requirement. Generally, what happens when you build such platforms, users are also allowed to upload the things, but they didn't want that. So we did that kind of thing. So basically, so this kind of customization where the users, customer is very specific about their needs, we are able to achieve those kind of needs. Okay, so one more case study which I just wanted to quick. Do I have 2-3 minutes, Mukul?
Yes, please, but let us use.
Okay. Okay, so one of the customers of which is of a defense organization has a lot of customization in terms of SML integrations. Then, in fact, the case study which I just discussed about NewGen is also the same customer where we did integrations in terms of integrations with the APIs and Zimlets. So this is again a big customer, which is 25,000 plus users, where we actually using a VMware platform, which is a DR, DC and DR platform from it, 1:1 DC and DR platform, which was actually some of the customization were video conferencing. They were insisting of doing with Jitsi. As Piyush told, the VideoCon is a separately licensed product. So obviously they were already using Jitsi. So we actually used Jitsi platform to integrate with Zimbra and give them the seamless operations, right? Then obviously SML integration was there because they were using IDM solution solution. This IDM solution typically was integrated with different platforms. So Zimbra also, did SSO based integrations, SLO based integrations with the IDM platform. And there were a lot of customization in terms of using APIs, different APIs. Liferay was the portal, so Liferay portal has actually used different APIs of Zimbra to integrate the calendars, to integrate few hundred mails, right? So people used to the portal was a front end, and people used to get the intimation about Zimbra, what is actually is in Zimbra, how many hundred mails are there, any kind of calendar requests are there. Everything was actually coming to the portal set. So those kind of integrations are something which typically will be something which is very required in case of large or small deployments on that. These are few case studies. I think probably I will skip it and move it to Q&A session.
Thank you, everybody. And just to give a brief, that Zimbra is a highly customizable environment, available both in-house as well as on cloud, and it can coexist with different environments. So any of these environments, we can work with you on the cases. So now I'll hand it over to Deepa if you have anything, and then we'll come to question and answers. Deepa, over to you.
Yeah, so there is one last poll that I want to launch. Okay, so here you go. Please participate, and remember there are 3 coupons worth 2,000 rupees each, 3 Amazon coupons which will be handed over to the participants via email. So do not forget to put in your email ID in case you have not registered for the webinar. Please put in your email ID and your name in the chat box in case you have not done so earlier. We'll be shortly moving over to the Q&A session.
So I think Deepa, we can another 10 seconds we can close and then come to Q&A.
Yes. Yeah.
So it is in next 10 seconds we can stop.
Yes, I'm closing in the next 10 seconds.
So let us close it now.
Okay. So thank you very much, all of you. We have a couple of questions. I'm asking one of the questions. What authentication methods does Zimbra support?
Okay.
So Piyush, would you like to take that?
Yeah, so Zimbra supports, authentication against any directory services that is LDAP v3 compliant. So Zimbra by default ships with its native LDAP, or if you have a third-party LDAP like an Active Directory or any other directory services that you have. And we also support SAML for single sign-on. So yes, any kind, or if you have any other, authentication platforms like Okta or any other IDAM solution, we do integrate with that.
Okay. So the next question is password policies. How does Zimbra handle the password policies?
Okay, so if the authentication is managed within Zimbra, as I said, within the Zimbra LDAP, we have extensive list of password policies, whether in terms of password history, caps lock, special characters, and there is a list of policies that can be applied. So yeah, so I mean there is an extensive list that can be applied as long as the passwords are managed from the Zimbra LDAP. If the authentication is managed from an external LDAP, the policies that are defined on the external LDAP will be applied.
I would
Okay.
just like to add into this is that some of the external LDAPs like AD and all, we have a small bit of Zimlets, which you can in fact, use via Zimbra itself to reset your passwords and other things also. So these external, integrations helps user to manage passwords from Zimbra also to certain extent. So obviously, those Zimlets need to be either configured out there or need to be customized accordingly. But yes, mainly what is there is that the authentication policies typically will be on the LDAP, which is actually managing it.
Okay. Thank you. So there's a question for Sobs. Hmm. What's the biggest challenge in email security? So I think this was one of the questions which was put in the poll also, and somebody has asked the same question. So Banyan, could you please take this?
Banyan, you need to unmute yourself.
No, we will help him to unmute because he's in mobile now.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I'm using my mobile. I
No issue.
can unmute myself. Yeah. So actually, the biggest challenge in the email security right now actually is ransom and phishing. The reason being is, as I mentioned earlier, ransom is more likely on the your assets, which is more valid to them, and also phishing is so dynamic. So they actually build a different way to handle that based on the stage by stage attacks. Examples like, phishing may not actually compromise the computer immediately, but they can use your credentials to extend and go further. And ransom is actually the one actually can compromise your computer and control it to make it actually more valuable and monitor your system. We've seen the customers actually run into the situation, the minutes the emails talking about the money transferring, the attacker in the middle actually start replying the email for the customer and then change the bank accounts. So because of that, we have the customers lost a few $100,000. So that actually, this kind of attacks is quite important. And that customer realized that email is just not the spam itself. Also, ransom phishing are very important to be protected.
Okay. Thank you, Banyan.
Mhm.
Now, the next question is, does Zimbra support end-to-end encryption for emails? So, also, what are the protocols that are used?
Piyush, this is for you.
I'm sorry, can you repeat this question again? Sorry.
Yeah, does Zimbra support end-to-end encryption for emails? And if so, what protocols are used?
So Zimbra supports encryption on transit, which is basically SSL TLS based encryption. We also support encryption on access, which is HTTPS based access. So yes, we do support encryption for both data access as well as in data in transit.
No, he wants end to end. SMIME also is there, right?
Yeah, so SMIME is for encryption of emails that you digitally sign and encrypt. So yes.
Okay. There is one question which is related to phishing attacks, so this is already covered. Then anti-spam and anti-malware features. So,
This should go to Banyan.
Banyan.
Banyan, are you there?
Uh, Hello, Banyan. Okay, I'll park this question. Let's take the next one. Okay,
Oh,
this
he's
could
saying,
also be.
just a minute, let me unmute him.
Oh,
I'm so sorry. Yeah, I should have stayed unmuted. So yeah, the anti-spam anti-malware is actually anti-spam engine is it's been there for a very long time, right? It's signature based, and we did have the comparison how many signatures we have compared to the competitors. Roughly, we have about 30,000 signatures we have, and which is very strong enough. I can give you some examples. We went into some new markets, and supposedly there are some new signature required. So examples like we went to Thailand. Well, supposedly we need some signatures, but end up actually we didn't change anything. We can support the Thailand market itself. So that's actually how strong, how powerful our signature covers the patterns of the spam parts. But for the malware or the malicious, that's actually a different story. I cannot rely on the signature, so I'm gonna have to use the dynamic engine, which is actually based on the behavior itself. So that sandbox plays a big important part. And with our modules, depends on the subscription, we can have the single one, we can have the dual one. So that actually, from both perspective, we can protect the customer from this such attacks.
okay. So there's another one which is like, does Zimbra offer real-time threat detection and response capabilities?
So that's
we yeah. So we have the real-time detection. Response depends on what you want to do. So response is like as I mentioned, right? So for example, if you have the full set of the features, you actually don't have to worry about the response. The reason being is, as you could see in the screenshot earlier, we actually transform this kind of the attachment and the URL. Even the email passed into the mailbox with the Zimbra API integration, you actually can retract it from the mailbox. Then you don't have to worry about anything else. So that's kind of response we are talking about. But if you don't have the full subscription, based on the detection itself, then there will be some requirements for the response, especially coming from the endpoint side. How you can clean it up if the user already clicked the URL or maybe open the attachments. So that's a different story. But for such case, we always recommend customer to upgrade to the better package that can give them the full protection. But depends on the customer. Some like the customer actually really looking into the better protection is coming from the government and the finance. Some customers is likely if you have the dynamic scanning, that's good enough. So they can sort of handle different cases.
Okay. So the next question is about compliance. How does Zimbra ensure compliance with data protection regulations like GDPR, HIPAA?
Okay, so since as I said in one of my decks that slides that Zimbra is deployed in country in a data center of the customer's choice. So it's 100% GDPR compliant, where the data is not going out of the customer's data center, or is deployed in a data center of the customer's choice, right? So it's 100%, and we are not taking any data. We are not creating any intelligence around the data, the email data of a customer. When you talk about HIPAA, it's more to do with the infrastructure components integrated with email security. For example, as one of the HIPAA compliance says that when you are sending an email with a 16-digit number, for example, in the email, it should not send it out, because of it should deem to become as a credit card number, or a debit card number. So Zimbra integrated with a solution like SOAP security, it'll kind of stop that email from being sent out. So yes, we are 100% GDPR compliant, and we can create a HIPAA compliant solution with the security vendors like SOAP, because HIPAA is just the email product. It has to be the entire solution, including the infrastructure, the security components. So yes, we can do that.
Okay, so the next one is also for you, Piyush. How often are security patches and updates released for Zimbra?
So again, we are doing what I said is under a project called Project Ignite. We are coming up with a release or a patch release every month, which includes new features, fixes, enhancements, everything. So uh, obviously, it's not practically possible for everybody to do an upgrade every month. But if there is if there is a patch, if there is a fix, if there is a vulnerability that has been fixed in a specific patch, the customer can directly go and update that patch. But the frequency typically is for a patch is 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 a month as of now.
So now the next question is, can we run Zimbra in parallel to our existing email platform?
I think Mukul sir
Biswajit can
had a
answer.
very small discussion on that, but Mukul sir very clearly said yes, we can have Zimbra running in coexistence with any other email platform.
I just like to add into it. In my experience, probably I think we have done coexistence with almost all the kind of solutions, especially O365, Google platform,
Exchange.
Exchange. You talk about postfix solutions, we talk about Rainmail, we talk about any kind of solutions. Lotus, you talk about Lotus. All solutions are possible to run, in parallel, right? So we have actually in this 15, 16 years, we have seen, coexistence is something, is sometimes people need. And during migration, also for a very large platform, coexistence is something which is very, very important to do it, to have almost zero downtime. So coexistence is something which we can 100% achieve from that. Obviously, there are certain aspects which need to be taken care from the other mailing solution perspective too. Yes, because we are experienced in terms of architecting many solutions. We are able to almost do any kind of a coexistence with any of the mail solutions. Yes.
Okay, so there's one question here which is talking about, is there any replacement for MS Outlook with Zimbra?
Yes, we do have a native uh, product called Zimbra Desktop that comes as an entitlement without any additional cost with Zimbra. So if you are a Zimbra customer, you can download and deploy Zimbra Desktop, and Zimbra Desktop is available for both Windows and Mac operating systems.
Okay, and I guess this question is what the whole seminar was about. The question is, how can we migrate data from a legacy environment? So, does anybody want to answer more on this? But I guess the whole seminar was. Yeah.
Biswas, you want to take that?
I think
Yeah,
Biswajit can take.
I will take it up. Okay. So basically, when you are talking about data migration, I am assuming that you are talking about the mail data, which is typically mainly consisting of mail folders, mails, probably your filters, your calendars, your contacts, right? And probably if you go a little deeper into things, maybe signatures also, maybe some kind of tagging which is there, which is required. Yes, in my experience, I think most of these things can be done. But yes, in some time, because the legacy systems, for example, let me give you example of Lotus Notes. When you want to migrate all this aspect of it, obviously, sometime you need a commercial tool. But yes, possibility of migrating data, yes. So see, majorly, I think 70 to 80% of data migration with the other tools. For example, even if you talk about Exchange, even if you talk about author kind of platforms, I think without tool we should be able to manage, right? By scripting and your basic IMAP tools, and those tools you should be able to manage all those aspects. But yes, in certain cases, like what I've seen is mostly in the in Lotus Notes case, which typically, see, if you just need mail and mail folder, that can be done. But if you're going beyond that, you're looking for your signatures, you're looking for your calendar contacts and all those things. So commercial tools are available. Transient is a very good tool, which actually help us in many of such scenarios where very large migration actually has been done. Yes, but practically speaking, yes, the data can be migrated.
It is possible either without any tool or with the tool, depending on the type of data to be migrated. If it is only mail, then it can be without a tool. If there are other components, it might or might not require additional tools.
Okay, so I guess we come to the end of questions. And if anybody wants to have a one-on-one conversation with any of the panelists, you can raise your hand or you can write in the chat box. I can help unmute you so that you can speak to them. And also, please remember to put your email ID and your company name in the chat box in case you have not done this earlier. Uh, the Amazon vouchers will be sent to you over your email. So in case anybody wants to have a one-on-one conversation, kindly raise your hand or write in the chat box. I have actually allowed you to unmute yourself also. You can do that. Or we will be closing in the next 5 minutes. Mukul, you want to take the closing?
Yes, so we'll just
Hello.
wait for.
There is a question.
Hello,
There is a
Aja. We
question.
are from IST. Can
Yes,
you
sir.
hear?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yes.
Aja,
Continue.
I want to ask you, is Zimbra moving towards a closed source company? Because Zimbra 9 version was not released in the open source. 8.8 had gone, it has got the endpoint. So is it going to be a closed source from here? That one I want to know.
Okay, so thank you for that question. I also pointed that out in my session, but I would want to emphasize here we are not a closed source company. Zimbra still is an open core. It is still allowing you to review the source code. Uh, we are just not shipping a binary to be installed. If you are looking to use an open source, if you want to be contributing to the open source, you can actually go and contribute into the Zimbra source code. You can compile your own binaries, install it for yourself, test it for yourself. We are still pretty much, very much uh, an open source or an open core product. We are just not shipping the binaries for the product. That's the only difference. Other than that, we are and we will always be open core. Our DNA is that.
Thank you.
So any other question which is there? So if there are no further questions, so thank you all for staying back for almost 2 hours. If anybody has any query, you can still take it offline. Most of you are in contact with Anshu. So if there is any sales query, we can take it offline along with Anshu. And if there is any other information which is required, that also you can ask and we can help you with that afterward. We will be sending you this Amazon voucher to 3 people. Thank you note and the feedback form, and would request you to fill up the feedback form and send back for reference. Okay. Thank you, everybody. We will close the session.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Thanks,
So,
everyone.
Biswajit, we can close the.
Okay,
No,
thank you
Deepak,
very much. I
Thank
have
you.
put the email ID in the chat box, sales@tetrend.com. So in case you have any queries, please feel free to write there. Thank you very much. Have a great
Thank you
day.
very much.
Thank you.
Deepak, you need to close it.
Yes, I'm doing that.